This would be our third installment of our podcast, Chamber Chatter, and or in the podcast where we have people join in. In this case, we are accompanied by Liam over here, who is going to bring us a certain topic that he would like to talk about. That's basically the thing about this podcast. People join here with a topic they want to talk about, not the other way around, which is what the usual podcasts usually go for. But I like this opportunity, or to make this podcast the opportunity for people to speak their minds about things that they want to talk about, and that we pick up from that. And then we share each other's points of view, our opinions, and keep going from there. Now, also, what I also would like to let you know is that whenever you are talking about your topic, we basically take turns, in the sense of that we then each have the opportunity to freely speak our minds without being interrupted or anything like that. So that way you can actually fully say the things that you want to say without any potential lost trains of thoughts, so that you can exactly say the things that you always wanted to say. Does that seem fair to you, Liam?
Yeah, that sounds good. I like that idea. I like that concept. Again, like, if there seems like there's a long pause, it is because there's a delay on my end. But yeah, I'm happy to hear what you have to say, and I'm excited to discuss why music's important to me.
All right. So with that being said, you indeed wanted to talk about music, but before we do that, how about you introduce yourself to our audience over here, and introduce yourself to who you are, um, what your role is, so to say, in terms of being, the large metallic fellow, as your name suggests to be, like a little short and sweet introduction of yourself, and then follow that up with the topic at hand and what you wanted to share about that.
Yeah, that's good. So first off, I'll start off with my little comical intro I always use for my coworkers when I show up to work. Guten Tag. All right. But yeah, I'm Liam. Online, I'm known as Large Metallic Fellow, and I've been a metalhead for as long as I can remember. So that's ultimately where the name came from, because I'm a really big guy, like not tall, but very wide set, got a little bit of muscle, a bit of a chunky guy too. So large, metallic because of my love for heavy metal, fellow because I'm a guy. It seemed like a funnier version of metalhead, because there's like metalhead 9, metalhead 52. Everybody's got metalhead numbers, so I wanted to stand out, express who I am, as well as my love for music, which is ultimately the big topic for today. And also, I do want to a quick little fun fact. I first discovered you roughly a year ago when I saw you comment on one of Zen's posts. I was like, huh, this person looks neat. She seems funny. I'm giving her a follow. So, gonna go ahead and just dive straight into the music topic.
Indeed, you can dive straight into it. Go for it.
Alrighty. So, when it comes to a lot of passions I have in life, there's like horror, there's like video games, but the more I think about it, the thing that I hold closest in my heart is music. Like, right off the bat, heavy metal is my favorite genre. Heavy metal and everything underneath it. Death metal, thrash metal, grindcore, deathcore, even a little bit of punk, because to me, punk and metal are kind of like brother sister genres. Like, they're really tied to each other and together in a way. But ever since I was a little kid, like, my parents listened to a tiny bit of everything, a little bit of like 80s pop, some country and western, but my dad always told me about a band called Black Sabbath. I was like, oh, what's Black Sabbath? Oh, this guy called Ozzy sings it. And he would always go, I am Iron Man. And I'd be like, oh, that sounds kind of cool. And so my babysitter's boyfriend, one time when I was being watched by her, had me listen to some Papa Roach and Linkin Park and White Zombie. I was like, ooh, I like this. I was only 5 years old, and I was like, oh, wow, this is awesome. I want more of this. Also, it's thanks to my babysitter's boyfriend that the first ever game I played was Doom, and my grandma had to get me a Nintendo for my birthday because she's like, no, we can't have him playing Doom. He's only 5. So she got me Mario and Donkey Kong for the NES. And then from there, it just kind of snowballed. From Black Sabbath and essentially White Zombie, I went into Judas Priest, Slayer, Pantera, and I will be a new metal defender. I love new metal. Disturbed, Korn, System of a Down. I grew up with those bands. I love those bands. And excuse me. Lately, if I was told I had to pick a favorite subgenre of heavy metal, I have to go industrial metal, like Fear Factory, Static X. Really heavy, really driving. It's got that mechanical sound to it, like Push It by Static X, Mechanized by Fear Factory. 2 damn good songs. And ever since then, like people always say, oh, heavy metal is evil. Heavy metal only makes you angry. Heavy metal has only brought me happiness and joy. It can definitely amplify some moods. Like I listened to Tearjerker by Korn when I was in a sad mood and I ended up crying. I listened to Decimate the Weak by Winds of Plague when I was angry and it just elevated my rage. But for the most part, if I want to be happy, I'll listen to Spit It Out by Slipknot. I'll listen to What I've Done by Linkin Park. I'll listen to Twist by Korn. I'll listen to Hammer Smash Face by Cannibal Corpse. I love metal is like important to me. But as I've said, I want to talk about music, not just metal. Because while I definitely was, and I hate to say it, I was a bit of a middle elitist in high school. I was like, oh, metal only, everything else sucks. But then I started opening my mind and opening my ears. And I went back to some of the old Western songs I listened to when I was younger, especially like Johnny Cash. I love Johnny Cash. The man was one of the greatest musical artists ever. Especially his cover of Hurt to this day still gets me choked up. And then like I started appreciating some of the more refined classical types of music, like orchestral, symphonic, and that was especially thanks to a lot of black metal, like Norwegian black metal, like Dino Borgir and Enslaved. So I was like, oh, they're using orchestras in their music. This is awesome. And so it's because of that, like some of my favorite music of all time is, for example, the Elden Ring soundtrack, the Dark Souls soundtrack, just these gorgeous pieces of music that really define the world and the bosses. And so the more you look into music, the more you realize it doesn't just have to be one genre you glue yourself to. You're gonna have a favorite. You will have a favorite. I am death metal for life, industrial metal for life. I love heavy metal. But if I was to not include metal, my other favorite genres are punk, symphonic, opera, lo-fi, and a little bit of like the old school, like 80s, early 90s rap. So not including metal, that's the other styles of music I like. And music as a whole isn't just about the listening experience of the concert experience, but music has a way of healing. Music is therapeutic. It can really just break down into your soul and like help you. It can help you get emotions across. Like again, when I was listening to Tearjerker by Korn and how it just made me break down. Or one of my favorite ones I love to mention is like when Zen did her cover of One More Light by Linkin Park. Oh my god, I cried so hard when I heard that. But yeah, it's therapeutic. It's beautiful. It's art, and there's going to be people who knock down genres. And yeah, not every genre is for everybody. I'm definitely not going to listen to any mumble rap. I don't like that music, but people get a kick out of it. I hate a lot of pop music, but people love pop music. It's their thing. It's like I'm gonna hate on it all day, but they've got millions of fans, so they were doing something right. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's all right to have music you like. It's all right to have music you don't like. But at the end, it's gonna make you feel something. It's gonna help your heart beat. It's gonna bring you love, sorrow, anger. It's gonna bring you comfort. But yeah, yeah, music for me. I love horror movies. I love video games, but music to me is the most important. All right, that's the end of my first little tirade.
Thank you so very much for that interesting tirade, so to say. It's actually interesting because there are some similarities that I do see in my own life to how I was introduced to various kinds of music. My mom was actually someone that is very into music. She also had like her own little band thing going on. It was more of like a attempt of a hard rock kind of thing, but yeah, it was a very small thing. And my dad was also someone that was very into more of the heavier rock kind of things, a bit of everything most of the time, but mostly heavy rock. Like at some point, if you would blast Ramstein, for example, you're blastingly loud and going like, "Hey, Tabby, see how loud this fucking this radio goes in our car," and just like blast Ramstein full volume. So that is something that I do remember. But that wasn't even like the first times or the very first time that I was introduced to music. The very first time I was introduced to music specifically was through a video game. And that video game is none other than Doom. So yeah, that's also another similarity where the first thing that you hear when you boot up Doom is, of course, the menu or the title theme. But then after that, you start with E1M1, as in, at Doomsgate, and that is something that is absolutely it is so iconic, even to this day, that E1M1 is like it just instantly blasts you into the sense of, oh shit, what is this? What is this epic? What is this adrenaline pumping music? And of course, back in the day with games graphics being the way that they were, of course, at the time we thought like, oh my God, this looks so real. But of course, it's just pixelated stuff. But with the music though, it's so iconic. And that's why I really like Doom 1's music, because well, as good as every map, has their own song, and they're all very, very iconic. And I just sometimes like to stop playing the game, like as in I would be in the game, just hit the escape button to be in the menu so that everything basically pauses, but the music would still play. And that's something that I would do from time to time, is just listen to the songs of Doom 1. And yeah, that was my little introduction to metal music, because I figured like this actually sounds really cool. But then in terms of non-metal video game, non-metal or non-video game, sorry, non-video game music, um, I was actually introduced to actual metal by a friend of my parents who was babysitting me, right? So I was at their place, and like this dude was babysitting me, and he was a bit of an older guy, and he was like, "Hey, Dabby, you want to listen to some cool music?" And this dude was like a very huge music fan, like back in the early 2000s, like late 90s, where you had these speakers, so to say, like every corner of a room, but they were like they were old compared to now, but like up to or at that time they were like brand new, but they were huge, right? They were these huge fucking speakers. And he would be like, "Yeah, I want to listen to a song that I really like." And I was like, "Yeah, fuck it, play it." I was about 5, 6 years old, something along those lines, and this dude played Within Temptation, Mother Earth. For those that don't know that song, please look it up. You won't be disappointed. And that's already a very heavy song, so to say, for a child to listen to, like compared to Doom, that is, because in the beginning of that song, there's like this very medieval-esque, very fantasy-like, music being played, and then out of nowhere, it just hits you super hard with like this symphonic metal stuff. And that's how I just, that just won me over. And that's where it all started. That's where my fondness for symphonic metal has started. And ever since then, I've always been listening to that, such as Within Temptation, Epica, Nightwish, especially those three would be things that I would be listening to. And sadly enough, that babysitter person didn't live very long after I heard that song. So it's kind of like a parting gift that he gave to me. So it's still a person I remember every time that I listen to symphonic metal. And yeah, that's why symphonic metal is always going to be my go-to thing. I listen to a bit of everything though, but yeah. Sabaton, for example, is also a band that I really like to listen to whenever I feel patriotic or feel like, fuck it, let's fight for our rights and let's, fight for the greater good. That's always a good thing to do to listen to Sabaton, to do so. But then after that, with some other music being introduced to me back in the day when MTV was a thing, where it actually played music. I don't know if it's still there. But MTV uses or used to be just purely for music. And that's also how I got introduced to anime actually through MTV because there was a band or wasn't really a band, more like two artists, two robotic artists by the name of Daft Punk that introduced me to anime with their song One More Time. With the blue alien things with the yellow disco getup. That was something that I went, oh my God, like they look so pretty. What is this? What is this cartoon thing? What is this? I want more of it. And that's how I got introduced to anime then. So there's a lot of things that music can indeed introduce you to whenever it's doing things right. And that's indeed something that I will always appreciate. And not only that, as you said before, that music can indeed be therapeutic, it can heal you. Um, Music has a way, and everyone has felt that at some point, where you're listening to a song, but then your entire body, like you feel everything. Like it changes, music can make you feel certain things in your body that other things cannot do. And that's something that is really cool about music is that it has this huge effects on people, um, that it can just do things to you in a good sense, but also like in an emotional sense, like it moves us. And that's as silly as it sounds, how just a couple of sounds and, certain arrangements can make us feel things, but it still has that impact on us. And that's really crazy. But then after that, of course, I play more video games, and then Metroid music was also something that I really like to listen to and just almost meditate to. So yeah, that's about my response to that. So what do you think? What else do you have to share, Liam?
Yeah, that was really awesome to hear. It's cool to hear that you had like a similar exposure to music that I did. Like, for example, your babysitter got you into something that was awesome. And Doom, yeah, fellow Doomhead, long live Doom. And it's like it's just cool to hear like where you came from, like how you got your start in music. It's like what you preferred, what your parents sort of got you into, and then how you branched off into your own path. Like, hey, this is what I love. It's piqued my interest. I want to chase that. And it's also like a hold on, excuse me. It also leads to like how there's like essential songs that will always be important to you and like stick with you. Like, I won't get too much into the subject matter, but 2019 was a really rough year for me, and Slipknot had just released an album called We Are Not Your Kind around August. The end of the song, Soulway Fur, when Corey Taylor screams, "Do you want a real smile? I haven't smiled in years," saved my life. Like that song will always be of extreme importance to me because it turned my life around. If you catch my drift, like I don't want to go too far down that because we want to keep this nice and upbeat. But Slipknot is another important band for me because they were a life-saving band. They brought me out of darkness into light, and it was like to have that camaraderie, to know Corey was going through that, and it's like I'm happy that someone understands the pain because it's helping me heal. It's helping me feel better. And so like yeah, there's key songs, key artists, key albums that will always strike a chord with you. Like as you said, Within Temptation, fucking awesome band by the way. I love Within Temptation and how that also introduced you to Epica. Simone has a gorgeous voice, like she's got the voice of an angel. And that was another cool thing because like at first I was like, oh yeah, heavy metal, bunch of awesome dudes banging their heads, and then it's like, oh, there's some gals in the metal scene too, and like yeah, you got Simone Simmons, and you got Angela Glassow, who was the first singer, well, second singer of Arch Enemy, but like the most well known one. She could do death metal growls like George Fisher, and like you were just going, oh, I'm like, wait, that's a girl doing that? That's awesome. It just goes to show that so many talented people have the capability of doing anything once they put their mind to it. And music is such a great gateway to like help you grow your talent, help you experiment, help you go, okay, what am I best at? What am I worst at? Where is a good medium that I can be constant at while accelerating towards my best? Which another thing that I like to bring up, a very little known fact about me is I was the lead singer of a death metal band for about 4 years. From about September 2008 until like late 2012, maybe early 2013, but I'll say 4 years for now. Me and one of my buddies from college, we formed a death metal band called Wounded Age. Trust me, you've never heard of us. We only played in our hometown. But I was on vocals, he was on drums. Two of his buddies that I met through him that are now two of my best friends as well are on guitar and bass. And we wanted to basically pull from our favorite bands. So there was a little bit of melodic death metal, a little bit of some groove metal influence in there. So the best way I could describe it is we sounded like a mix of In Flames and Amon Amarth, but with a hint of Lamb of God, just really heavy, really fast. I'm surprised I can still talk without clearing my throat all the time because of all the death metal singing I was doing. But while it was fun, it was an awesome time, and the three of them are still three of the best friends I've ever had. Like life happens, so the band quote unquote broke up, but we still hang out like at least once a month and get drunk and eat pizza. So we're still buddies. We were like, yeah, those 4 years were awesome, and now at least we got a friendship out of it for sure. But also thanks to that, I realized what my strongest singing style was. Because then, like after that, I was like, oh, I always got to do karaoke nights. I may not be in a band anymore, but I can still go and do some Metallica, Black Sabbath, and Judas Priest. And I found out as fun as death metal was, my best vocal style is more akin to Phil Anselmo, the lead singer of Pantera and Down, sort of that groove metal. Like it's got that growl sound, but he also actually sings. So my favorite song to do karaoke now is Becoming by Pantera, because lyrically it's another damn good song. Because a long time ago I never knew myself. The way the song starts off, it's like, yeah, okay, the song's already striking a chord with me. But since it's Phil, there's a growl while he sings. And then, well, I saw Metallica last year for like the fifth time. One of the opening acts was the Pantera tribute, as I call it, because Phil was on vocals. The original bassist Rex was on bass. They got Zach Wild on guitar and Charlie Benante on drums, and they played "Becoming," my favorite Pantera song. I never thought I would get to hear it live, and two of the original members of Pantera playing it. That was like the first night of the 2 night show. I banged my head so hard and screamed the chorus so loud that for the next 2 days I was hunched over drinking scalding hot tea because of how much pain I was in because I had so much fun. I was like, oh my god, they're playing Becoming. So I just stand up just banging and banging my head because such an important song to me, a song I love. Never thought I would ever hear it live. And literally half of Pantera is playing it live. It's a sense of nirvana. It's a sense of bliss. It's like, man, I love this song. It'd be cool to like, hear the artist perform. Like and then it happens. It was like that wasn't on my bucket list because I didn't think it would happen. I was like, okay, write this on the bucket list, cross it off. Saw Pantera live and they played Becoming. And it's but yeah, it's like music in general has just always pushed me to like improve as a person, always inspired me. Music inspires me to write. So like I write a bunch of fanfics because I am that kind of dork. I wrote a cyberpunk fanfic recently that was like heavily inspired by a lot of the songs I like, and I named all the chapters after songs because in cyberpunk all the missions are named after big hit songs. So it's like I always found that if I need something to inspire me, I just throw on one of my favorite albums. I'll look up original songs, cover songs, metal, punk, lo-fi, orchestra. There's so much that I owe to music that has helped me grow as a person. It's helped me broaden my horizons, broaden my skills, and expand my tastes. And yeah, I can again, like circling back to Slipknot, without music, I probably wouldn't be alive today. I owe music my life. I especially owe Slipknot and Corey Taylor my life because of how they helped me in 2019. But music is a savior.
That is indeed something that I will wholeheartedly agree on. Speaking of songs that do move you, and that also it's also something that I've seen, for example, with elderly people, for example, that's whenever they suffer from dementia, for example, that they don't even recognize their own family anymore, that has gotten that bad. But when you expose them to music or to songs that they used to listen to, they remember things almost perfectly. And that's like just the craziest thing about, again, how powerful music can be. Because I remember that I saw this one video of an elderly guy just like remembering how to play, I think it was a guitar from just a song. And I think it was like his son and grandson playing a song, and that he was playing along with it perfectly. It's like, oh my God. And like the guy looked like at his end, at the last few moments of his life, though, but he could still jam to music just like that, as if that he's perfectly healthy. It's just crazy just how much power is actually behind that. Speaking of a moments that I definitely do remember, um, there is a song that I will always remember, and I hope that I will always remember, so that I will always be reminded of how I became the person that I am today. And that would be a song from Infected Mushroom, Becoming Insane, which is basically the song of the intro video, or the intro music video of the stream. And that was a song that was first introduced to me to YouTube back in the day when AMVs were all over the place, and how I got introduced to Black Lagoon. And it is also a song that played in my mind during an extremely dark time in my life, that it always replays in my head, because I've I've now come so far from that point that the song isn't necessarily something to remind me of the darker time in my life, but more in the sense of remind me of what happened, so that I remember how weak I used to be and how strong that I am now. So that's why I really like that song, and why um, it is literally the intro to the stream, and kind of the quote unquote theme song. But yeah. Now on a more lighter topic, I kind of forgot in the previous thing. But I have like a little notepad here, so that's why I'm constantly looking to the left, because I write things down, what you say, and then respond to that in this little notepad that I have, so that I don't forget things, and also proves that I'm listening to you. But with you being a vocalist, I actually used to play the drums. And the first song that I want to play from the get-go, the moment that I had my drums, and again, I don't have them now or anymore. I basically gave them away to charity, because I just didn't play it anymore for quite a long time. It was like during my late teen years that I kind of lost interest. Um, but when I got it, the very first song that I played was E1M1. I just fucking had to play it. So that's why it's still sometimes like a little warm-up song whenever I play these VR drums on stream. But the problem is that for you guys, it looks like I'm actually playing the drums. But in real life, I'm actually air drumming. So it looks super stupid for me. but at least it is something close and something way cheaper than, getting an actual fucking drum kit. But aside from the drums, I've had this interest very recently to start picking up the drums, but I don't think that I have the patience anymore to learn to learn something as complex as a bass guitar, because I have seen people play like doing slap bass basically, which sounds so fucking cool. And I want to be able to do that too, but it's like I'm gonna get more and more frustrated from me sucking at bass, because that's always it, that you cannot instantly pick up an instrument and just be good at it. Like there are some instruments of which you can do that, but in terms of anything with strings, good luck. But um, about a music genre though that I didn't really think that would be a good mix would be synthwave and metal. In which case, there are two bands that I do know that actually pull that off really well, because synthwave is also something that I really like listening to, because it kind of sounds both retro but also really futuristic at the same time. There's not many genres that can do that. Um, but two metal bands are metal bands that do um, combine synthwave aspects and metal, or progressive metal, would be Beast in Black. And for those that have seen the Eurovision of 2023, Voyager, who did a incredible performance during Eurovision, that was super fucking synthwavy, and it is just really awesome. Especially the song "Promise," which is the song that they um, performed in Eurovision. Like it is so fucking cool with the things that they have done. And for Beast in Black, I actually saw them live, and it was really, really fucking nice to see them live. But yeah, that is those are my experiences with certain music things, and how my personal involvement in picking up instruments, and so to say, and some interesting genres that somehow work really well together.
Excuse me. Yeah, it's it's cool what you can stumble across when you like delve more into music. And actually, you mentioning synthwave and metal reminds me of another band I didn't hear about until I think it was 2019. It was one of the last concerts I saw before COVID. But there was this band called Dance with the Dead. It's these two guys from YouTube, and they do a lot of synth metal, well, just synth metal songs that are awesome. They did a cover of Master of Puppets by Metallica that was more of a remix that just blew my mind. And I forget the exact album, but they have a song called Salem. It's one of the best songs that I love to listen to when if I'm driving through the city or walking through the city at night, like Bellingham, Vegas, Seattle. Yeah, I listen to Salem by Dance with the Dead, because you see, if you look at like all the right neon lights, the music just kind of seems to pulse with it, because it's got that cyberpunk feeling. It was my favorite song to listen to when I was playing Cyberpunk when it first came out, and they really hit a chord with me. And it was another one that exposed me to synthwave, got me back into electronic music, because thanks to the Mortal Kombat movie, I used to love techno. Then I got tired of techno, but now thanks to Dance with the Dead, I like techno again. And also a little bit thanks to Static X, because they do have some of those electro elements. But yeah, if I was like lately, I know like I've been trying to like push myself into like more. I don't know what the right term is, but like I want to expand more, if that makes sense. I do like, well, where I'm at right now in life is really good, but I just want to. I tried streaming ages ago, but kind of gave up, mainly because nothing ever came of it. But like the more I look at my PFP, the large metallic fellow, it's like it would be bad to like give it another shot, like somewhere down the line, if I have the time and money. And so like one song that always comes to mind every time I look at my picture is "The Industrialist" by Fear Factory. So which that song is just straight up a song about Skynet. So like I see that and I go, yeah, That would be my thing. Basically, a Terminator who's sent to destroy mankind, but then has conflicted feelings because wait, mankind good? Do you want to save mankind? And so once again, music got me wanting to make more. So that's kind of where the this character who is actually the large metallic bastard came from, just basically the evil version of me, so to speak, large metallic fellow. But yeah, once again, music fueled me to do more. It pushed me to do more. Just listening to my favorite Fear Factory song on repeat made me go, I'm going to create an entire character and an entire universe just for fun, which is admittedly a complete ripoff of Terminator because I love Terminator. But yeah, there's. Hold on. It's on the tip of my tongue already. Oh, but as you said, hell yeah, like learning instruments can be hard. I actually tried to get into guitar back when I was a teenager. That did not last long. And so I was like, okay, let me try something else, anything else. And so I started singing and went into choir when I was in high school. I was in choir and band. And I found out at first I was like, oh, I'm probably going to be a bass because I have a naturally low voice. Then when I was auditioning for a choir, I was hitting some surprisingly high notes, and the choir teacher said, I think I'm going to have you be a tenor. I was like, really? Me, a tenor? And then sure enough, my senior year of high school, I was singing the highest notes out of the choir. And then like one night at karaoke, I was like, you know what? I'm really going to push myself. I decided to do Painkiller by Judas Priest. I couldn't talk for the next day, and I thought I sounded pretty neat. For those of you who haven't heard Painkiller by Judas Priest, it is the highest and hardest that Rob Halford has ever sang in a song. Ever. It is arguably, in my opinion, like I have my favorite artists, and I'm a little biased because this album did come out the year I was born. But to me, the greatest metal album of all time is Painkiller by Judas Priest. It's fast, it's heavy, it hits every right note. It starts with the title track, which is just, in a good way, pain incarnate. Because you listen to this song and you feel like you're in a fight for your life. And if I ever get the chance down the line, I kind of want to do a parody version of Painkiller. Because if I was listening to the lyrics when Doom 4 came out, Doom 2016, and I was like, huh, these kind of sound familiar listening to the Doomslayer lore. So if I ever do it, I'm going to do a parody of Painkiller called Doomslayer. So the chorus would go, he is the Doomslayer. It's just like I can change the lyrics a tiny bit. It's like, yeah, Painkiller is Doom Guy's theme song. It's just him like, oh, demons. I'm gonna kill them all because they're in my way and save Earth. So yeah, once again, it's I just get creative and I get inspired and it's like, oh, I need to do more. I need to do more. And sometimes I need to hit the brakes because I've been so exhausted recently with work and trying to create. But at the same time, I just lay down and I go, oh, new idea. And then I fall asleep. So yeah, that's I can't think of much else that I have to say other than like I if I could recommend a couple of artists, Fear Factory because they've been very important to me lately. Slipknot because they saved my life. Judas Priest, who I think is the greatest heavy metal band of all time. Black Sabbath because they were the first. Rob Zombie because he is one of my favorite artists ever, not just music but also movies and artwork. Rob Zombie is king. Also for soundtracks, I love the Doom soundtracks all the way from the first one, even to the newest one. It's not bad. Again, I understand why a lot of people don't like the new Doom, but I like it. And for more traditional style music, the Elden Ring soundtrack, Dark Souls soundtrack, for more of like the cyber styles, like Cyberpunk has an amazing OST. Rebel Path is one of the best theme songs for a game ever. And for some non-metal artists, I'd also highly recommend Johnny Cash. He's again an absolute legend. May he rest in peace. See, there's one rapper I kind of like. He's a little controversial, but his name is Tom McDonald. I personally like him a bit. And let me see. There's some country artists that I listened to as a kid that I still have a soft spot for, are like Toby Keith, Montgomery Gentry, And let's see. There's like one other artist I have on my head, and I can't think of them. I don't know. I'll probably post it in Discord when I remember. But yeah, find music that you love. Embrace that music. Put it in your heart and soul. Make it part of who you are, because it's going to inspire you. It's going to heal you, and it's going to push you to want to do better and be better. Music, again, it saved my life. I mean, hell, it saved your life as well, Tabby. And it can save so many lives. As long as you find the right song, you will find yourself a happier, better person.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you for that, Liam. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I would like to add something to that with you being a Terminator. That actually reminds me of how movie music in general is also very inspiring, so to say, especially, for example, the music that is used in the Lord of the Rings movies with, Howard Shore being the orchestra, basically. Like that, like the songs that are being played there, for example, The Thief of Gondor or Rohan, for example, like they are so epic that, like, who the hell didn't cry at the Charge of the 6,000 when the Rohirrim arrive at Minas Tirith, and that music pumps up. King Theoden is rallying his knights, his Rohirrim, to charge into certain death because it's literally do or die. Like, you cannot, everybody shed a tear at that point because it is literally for the sake of the world, and they have to do it, even though they know that, yeah, we're gonna fucking die, but we have to do it anyway. And that also reminds me of, for example, it is scene of Attack on Titan, in which case also have amazing music directed by, I need to look up his name real quickly because the names are very similar with another Japanese actor that I really like. There's normally Hiroyuki and then Sawano. There we go. I don't. So I know a Japanese actor that is my favorite Japanese actor, Hiroyuki Sanada, who plays in Last Samurai and Bullet Train, and John Wick. I just like him very, very much. But then you got Hiroyuki Sawano, who did the track for Attack on Titan, and the track that's being played when Erwin is charging into the Beast Titan, where there's like just these billions of rocks just being thrown at them, and then they all get super fucked up. But it's like there's this charge that they do that's like, yeah, we are going to charge into certain death. We are absolutely not going to survive, but we have to fucking do this. And that is like the hype, and then especially the voice actor for Irvin also fucking sold it. In Japanese dub, of course. So it was absolutely amazing. And that's in combination is just absolutely insane. And for another music thing, and I know that I just see the chat that is really agreeing with this too. But yeah, you have to agree. Like, it's just the way that that music can emphasize the weights of scenarios or situations that characters are going through is so fucking crazy. But remember when the first newer Star Wars movie, as in The Force Awakens, was being teased, right? Of course, at the time, we didn't really think much of it, that it was going to be like a shit show or anything. But when the music played for that trailer with like, the Jedi theme, so to say, or the Force theme rather, that in an epic way is like, oh shit, because you recognize those melodies from things that you've grown up with. And it's like, oh my God, this is like, we're back. We are so back. And then the two movies after that absolutely sucked. But yeah, that is something that I just really like though. Now with the music instrument thing, that actually reminds me of Beat Saber. Star Wars, Beat Saber music. And that's something that people seem to think that I'm really good at. but I have a huge advantage when it comes to Beat Saber, and that is when you already have somewhat of a musical background, Beat Saber becomes so much more easy. Because if the mapping is correlated to the rhythm or the beats of the song, then it's really easy to pick up certain patterns of a song. So that's why when people recommend songs to me, or when I do the VR drums thing, for example, that I can easily pick up some patterns here and there that I've heard from all kinds of music, and that you can then kind of predict, like, oh, what kind of rhythm is this? And then basically pick up on that and just play the song as if you've already been playing a song a couple of times, even though it's the very first time that you've been playing a certain song. Um, Now, music videos would be actually something that I would like to do, for example, not necessarily me singing because I suck at singing. But for example, with the trailer, the intro music or the intro music video of the stream, there is something else that I would like to do, more or less like a music video thing, but I'm not entirely sure how I would do it, because I first need to come up with a scenario. I need to get artists into work as well. There's a lot of things that go behind making such a thing because it took me almost like a year, at least a year plus, to make the music video that we have now. So it's still something for a very distant future. But that's something that I would definitely like to do. Um, well, then after that, Liam, you mentioned Rob Zombie, and that reminded me of maybe, if not the most popular song of Rob Zombie, Dragula. In which case, the intro to that song, when the drums play, though, it sounds so fucking tribal. And that's really fucking cool. It's like, oh, this is so beefy. And that's like also something that I can really enjoy is more medieval-esque music, but more in a tribal sense. For example, like Viking slash Nordic kind of music with like recently I picked up a band called Skald, which is a um, Nordic music themed band thing. And it goes really back to those roots and it really sounds so fucking so beefy, but also so harmonious, and that's really fucking cool. That those things, like in mixes of certain ways to portray music, can blend in really fucking well with one another.
Yeah, actually, yeah, Dragula, I think, that actually, funnily enough, was the third Rob Zombie song I heard. Like, don't get me wrong, Dragula is the number one. Every time I see Rob Zombie, it's always the last song he ends with. But the first song I heard by him was Super Beast, and it was thanks to the trailer for Godzilla 2000. I was like, I completely forgot about that, and someone reminded me. I was like, wait, they used a Rob Zombie song in a Godzilla movie? And so I searched on YouTube for Godzilla 2000, and sure enough, when Godzilla shows up, the chorus for Super Beast starts playing. I was like, oh, so it's thanks to my love for one of my favorite movies, Godzilla, that I got into Rob Zombie. And then like it was like Super Beast, Meet the Creeper, and then Dragula. Then of course, because I had listened to a little bit of White Zombie, but it didn't click in my head that it was the lead singer of White Zombie was Rob Zombie because I was just a kid when I heard of White Zombie. So I guess technically, if I'm gonna split hairs, more human than human, which thankfully my babysitter's boyfriend skipped the intro of that song because not good for a 5-year-old to hear those sound effects. He's like, okay, hold on, I gotta fast forward like 30 seconds. Okay, now I'm gonna hit play. And then looking back on it when I listened to it, I was like, oh, okay, at least he was a good guy. But and also when talking about movies, I knew I was forgetting talking about something, but yeah, and again, like circling back to how I'm a whole Terminator with my picture, the Terminator theme song. Oh my god! If you want to talk about a song that makes you feel like, yeah, it's the end of the world, mankind's been wiped out, they lost, but there's that sliver of hope. There's that handful of humans who say, no, no matter what, we're going to fight the machines. We're going to kill the machines. Even if we can't go back in time to save the future, we can at least destroy Skynet and humanity can live out the last of our lives in peace. Which, a little bit of spoilers, the game is about 4 years old, but Terminator Resistance came out about 4 years ago, and it was one of the most fun video games I ever played. You play as a new character. I forget his name, but oh, excuse me, hold on. A little bit of water went down the wrong pipe. Anyway, but there's some choices in it. It's got like it seems like it was inspired by Fallout and Resident Evil. The way the game was handling it's a first person game. The final mission, you're storming the Skynet headquarters, and the most epic version of the Terminator 2 theme song is playing. Just full blown orchestra, every instrument on display, full power. You feel like you're a superhero. You're marching onto your certain death to destroy the machines, destroy the Terminators. And just when the main part of the theme swells up as you see like 20 T-800s marching towards you, it's like, it's now or never. Mankind has to be saved. And even if I go down bleeding, I know that I at least fought on my feet. And it's like, oh, like my favorite thing to do is just reload that mission over and over again just to get myself pumped up. Because again, you feel like a superhero. Good. It's just you and a handful of humans taking on infinite odds. And you win. You successfully destroy Skynet. It's like, oh my god, the game had a happy ending. I wasn't expecting that. And then, yeah, Lord of the Rings, the Charge of the Rohirrim. Oh my god, Theoden yelling death over and over again. I was a kid when I saw that movie, and I think it was the first time a movie actually made me choke up. I was a kid when that came out, like because it was like early 2000s, wasn't it? I might have been a teenager, but just seeing him yell death, death, and getting his entire army to yell death. I was like looking down. It was like, oh, so as a kid, I got it. It took me a long time to go back and look at it, but I understood that emotional impact, and yeah, it brought out so much more like musical thing. It's like again, it's funny as a kid, I was like, oh, it's cool music. I don't care. It works for the movie. But then, like, I go back and listen to that music now since I have a better appreciation. It's like if it wasn't for like a lot of the symphonic metal bands and a lot of the Norwegian bands who use orchestra, I wouldn't be able to retroactively appreciate the stuff that came out. And like, speaking of Star Wars, I'm gonna say this: I love the prequels before it was cool, because there's a lot of people going back now saying, "Oh, maybe the prequels weren't so bad." I love the prequel. Jar Jar Binks was my favorite character. I'll say it. Jar Jar Binks was my favorite character because I was a kid when that movie came out. I laughed so hard every time that little dork was on the screen. But episode one had Duel of the Fates. Darth Maul versus Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. Oh my god. When those doors open and dun dun, I was like, ooh, ooh, what am I feeling? Why does this feel so cool? And then episode two, I liked episode two, but it didn't have as much memorable tracks. Like it had the Across the Stars song, I think is what it was called, the love song between Anakin and Padme. Not a bad song, but it didn't really resonate with me because it's a love song. But then episode three, Battle of the Heroes, Obi-Wan versus Anakin. Wow, I was on the edge of my seat when that choir comes in. Oh, John Williams poured his heart and soul into that song. It's yeah. Again, I've got problems with the sequels, lots of problems with the sequels, but I grew up with the original trilogy. I loved the prequel trilogy. I like Rogue One a little bit, but yeah, Star Wars music, Lord of the Rings music again, the Terminator theme song, and I'm quickly looking over at my movie shelf. There's a oh, the CGI Beowulf movie from 2007. That theme song was so hype. Like it feels like a Viking marching into a hall after a victorious battle. It like came out, I think it was 2007. Ray Winstone played Beowulf in the movie, and they definitely took some creative liberties with that. But oh god, that because having read the original story, which is one of the greatest stories of all time, watching the movie, I was like, oh, okay, they changed a few things. I don't hate it. It's not a bad interpretation, and Ray Winstone's an incredible actor. Anthony Hopkins plays King Hrothgar, which is so fucking cool. But yeah, just the soundtrack for Beowulf was beautiful, and yeah, you felt like you were a Viking who just came back from battle, covered in blood. Like, yeah, let's drink a bunch of mead and have a damn good night. Every time you hear the theme song.
Actually, speaking of the Viking things, that reminds me of, speaking of music, that Hans Zimmer is really good for. Of course, he's mostly known for his like Pirates of the Caribbean thing, then Gladiator, as well as in the original one. But also, he composed the music for The Last Samurai, in which case, in the final battle, where the samurai fight the Imperial Army of Japan, where Nathan Algren and fuck, what is his name again? Fuck, I know his name is Ken Watanabe, and but who is the character that he was playing as? What was his role? Who was it? What was the name again? God damn it! Come on, where is it? I know his name. I know what his name. Katsumoto. There we go. Fucking Katsumoto. So where Katsumoto was asking Nathan Algren, in this case Tom Cruise, was asking like what happened with the warriors at Thermopylae, as in referring to the Battle 300, and then Nathan Algren with a smile, like a huge fucking smile, responds with death to the last man, and both of them just fucking smile just in the face of death and be like, yeah, that's a warrior's way. I can live with that. And then they just fucking charge in like crazy into the Imperial Army, which again has like muskets and everything, but they just fucking go for it. And then when that music plays, that theme song of The Last Samurai, and that's like, oh fuck. This is again like literally like with the Chart of the Rohirrim, it is literally the same thing. It's like the sense of we will not fucking bow down to some bullshit things that are absolutely not right, and we will make the world hear us, like kind of sense that there will be things written about us in the history books, and that's literally wasn't what happened, as in not literally what happened in The Last Samurai, but as in the actual story, but more in the sense of there are some things, of course, that are legit, but again, it's mostly an over dramatization of what actually happened. But it is still this sense of people should not forget us, so to say. People should not forget for the things that people have fought for um, in the past. So that's why it's always good to remember where we came from. Um, but that's also an interesting thing with, for example, Saving Private Ryan, when the storming of the beach, like the first scene that you see, but it's not the first scene, because the first scene is where you see like the older version um, of um, of Ryan, basically, and then when you see the visuals of the storming of the beaches in Normandy, like there's as good as no music being played, and that makes things like a little bit more like sinister, because like of course the things that happened then are absolutely like we should not be doing that again. But I feel like if there would be a war right now, it would be like 100 times worse that it was back then. But it is then always interesting to see, for example, with Sabaton making songs about that. Because if you have seen the movie and you listen to Primo Victoria, um, then it's like it just correlates so well with one another and really emphasizes like just the immense weight that those people had on their shoulders to really fight for the greater good, so to say. But yeah, that's about it. What I have to say about the music thing. Unless you have something else to add, LVM, feel free to do so.
Yeah, I'll throw in one last thing, and then yeah. But first of all, I really enjoyed having this chat with you, Tabby. It's like I wish I was definitely like a little bit more like active and able to like hang out and chat with you and the rest of the acolytes. It just work is crazy, and so on the weekends I just like to lay down and do nothing. Sometimes, like with the new Doom out, I'll probably be playing Doom for the rest of the day. But yeah, it's like again, sometimes lack of music is great. Yeah, that Saving Private Ryan intro scene, the storming of the beach, it's spine chilling. Just the utter silence, and then the door drops and it's pandemonium, chaos right out the gate. It's like it's not until like the end of that scene that music starts playing. I think it's like it's rather crazy. Oh, and actually, I did notice a comment in the chat that I do want to address. What do you think about comedic factors of music? I think comedy and music is awesome. I love Tenacious D. Jack Black and Kyle Gass make some of the funniest music I've heard. And then like Weird Al, he's a legend when it comes to comedy music. But yeah, it's like music. It can be serious. It can be goofy. It can be sad. It can be happy. Like Dragon Force does like every emotion with every song they've done. Like their album from 2019, Extreme Power Metal, they have a lot of awesome upbeat songs, a couple of heartbreaking songs, a little mellow one. But then they do a cover of My Heart Will Go On by Celine Dion. And I was joking because they played at the same show as Dance with the Dead. And Dragon Force was the headliner. And they said, hey, you guys are probably tired of hearing Dragon Force tonight. Should we do a cover? Me being a smartass, not realizing they covered it, yelled out Celine Dion. He looks right at me and says, have you seen the movie Titanic? And I looked up at him, speechless, like, are you shitting me? And everybody in the crowd looks at me like, how did you know? Like, I was joking. They played My Heart Will Go On. And it was one of the best ends to a concert ever. Well, they played Through the Fire and the Flames afterwards because that's right. But yeah, yeah. When it comes down to it, again, like circling back to what I've said many times, music. Yeah, there's so much more to music than listening to it. But you can just listen to music. Sometimes you just need something in the background to sort of get you through the day. And I wish I could listen to music at work because some of the radio stations that play at the grocery stores that I service. But again, that's my personal bias and taste. But yeah, sometimes you don't want any music. Sometimes you want to be overwhelmed by music, but you always have to find like the right song for the right situation. And music's been around for not the beginning of time, but millennium. Like in its most primal form, it's always been like percussion. Then along came like the first string instruments, then horns, and now we have like electric guitars and then like certain digital effects you can create. Music has come a long, long way, and it keeps evolving. And you got people who stick with tried and true traditions. But yeah, to pretty much wrap it up, music will music is my number one constant. If I need to turn to anything to brighten my day, I'll just throw on like "Spit It Out" by Slipknot or "Hurt" by Johnny Cash or any of the Elden Ring boss theme songs, and instantly better mood. I thought I heard your mic go out. I was like, wait, what's that sound effect? Don't know if you can hear me, but I was like, oh wait, what's going on?
Okay, so I think things are working out. Okay, for some reason things are being really weird. Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Um That was okay. I was like talking, it's like, why is Discord not picking up anything? I was like, what the fuck? But yeah, it is really something that music can indeed do, where shenanigans should be um definitely kept close to you, right? Music is definitely something that you want to keep close to you, not necessarily just because you enjoy listening to it, but because it can motivate people. So that's why I find that it is really important to always have something that you can listen to. Again, like you said, not necessarily just for the heck of it, but just whenever you feel like it and whenever comforts you. Um, but yeah, so that's why music, ladies and gents, don't take it for granted. As in, like, it's always something that you should have some kind of a comfort song, right? That whenever you feel like something's not going right, that there's always some kind of a sound that you can listen to that can kind of reset or rewire your train of thoughts for like that moment whenever shit is like hitting the fan or something like that. And that can really help, which is something that I've personally experienced from time to time. But yeah, I don't know if you have anything else to add to that, Liam. Let me know.
Nope, that's I think that's pretty much it. Like trust me, if I could definitely talk for hours and hours and hours about music, but I think for the most part, yeah, we pretty much covered everything. I really absolutely loved everything you had to say about it. It's great to hear how music helps out other people. I'm really happy to always hear everyone's tales about music, like what they like, how they got it, how it motivated them. But yeah, I really I enjoyed this, Tabby. I'm really happy that you started this podcast setup, and it was fun. It's fun to get to know you better. It's fun to pretty much hang out and just chat about something I love with someone who like understands how like great music is to me. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. And yeah, once we're done here, I'm probably gonna hop back into Doom and see if I can beat the Dark Ages, which probably not. I heard that game is really long.
I'm surely you can do it. I have full faith that you can do it, and let the music of metal. Although I've heard that the music in Dark Ages isn't necessarily that memorable, so in any other case, you can just play Doom Eternals or Doom 2016's OST over that, or even the classical Doom music. But yeah, it was indeed a very nice topic to talk about. It is a topic that we've already talked before, but not necessarily in this kind of depth. But it was more like about music production and like electronic music mostly, which was in the first episode. So it's kind of nice to see things come back. And then, of course, the whole purpose of this podcast is indeed just learning from one another, learning each other's points of view, how one another or how we or each individual rather has been introduced to music, what kind of music, in what way. That is really interesting to learn, and that's why this podcast is here, so that you guys can share your views with the rest of the world, and we can pick up on that and then learn from one another that way. And that's why I really like doing this. Now, before we end the podcast parts, there's always something that I like to do at the end of a podcast, and that is I will set up a timer. I will set up a timer for minutes. And what I will allow you to do in said minute is you are allowed to say, virtually speaking, anything you want, or basically promote yourself or promote or give a shout out to whoever you like. It can be yourself, it's perfectly fine. But I will give you a minute for that, and I will give you a timer, and I will say whenever the timer goes. But are you ready? Do you understand the assignment, Mr. Liam?
Yes, I do.
All right, and the timer goes in 3, 2, 1.
All right. So once again, I am Large Metallic Fellow. You can call me Large Metallic Fellow, or even Liam. And I'm really only active on Discord sometimes, so you can find me over on Twitter. I don't remember what my exact at is, but I share it in the Discord every now and then. And I really only come to Twitch to watch streams when I've got the free time. But yeah, absolutely love music, absolutely love video games and horror. And I do want to give shout outs to people who have genuinely inspired me. First off, shout out to you, Tabby. You're awesome. You're sweet, and you have a very lovely and friendly community. Shout out to my Kami Oshi, Zentreya, the absolute ridiculous toaster she is. She's super cool. Shout out to some of my favorite musicians: Winds of Plague, Rob Zombie, Judas Priest, Slayer, Cannibal Corpse, and my two favorite movie franchises are Friday the 13th and Godzilla. My favorite video game
And that's
franchise
the
is
minute.
perfect.
That's always a funny thing to do. That's always a funny thing whenever I do that. People are like trying to rush out as many things as possible, but it's still funny. Some people like either keep going or just say like very strict things and have like way more than a minute left. Well, not way more than a minute, but like enough seconds to say whatever. But yeah, I do hope that you enjoyed being in this podcast thing. Always more than welcome if you have another topic to talk about. Feel free to let me know in the exact same way that you've done in our Discord, in which case, to make things absolutely clear, anyone can join the podcast. Just let me know over in our Discord. We have a specific channel for that where people can sign up for the podcast. It just comes down to when we are available and what topic you want to talk about. And like 99% of the topics will be per minute to talk about. So yeah, again, Liam, I do hope you enjoyed, and always more than welcome, all right? Not only for the podcast, but also within our community, whenever you feel like it. But don't overwork yourself, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you, Tabby. This was fun. Lots of love to you, and just keep rocking on and keep staying awesome. And with that, I will go ahead and dip out and rip and tear until it is done. Auf Wiedersehen.
Do enjoy, do enjoy kicking lots of demons' asses. Send a rocket down and a Doom Imp's face for me. And I would say on that note that remember that I love you all for being you.